I pledge allegiance to the earth and to all the life that it sustains, one planet, irreplaceable. Greetings from the Woodstock Land Conservancy. I'm Sylvia Bullitt, and this is Miranda Javid and Lori Felber, and welcome to our OASIS, Ocean Action Summit in solidarity with COP30, the Conference of Parties, the 30th United Nations Climate Conference, Climate Crisis Conference. I'm calling it crisis. They just call it the climate change, but it's crisis is more apt because we need to reduce emissions by 43% by the year 2030. So there's special focus this year in Belém, Brazil, where they're in their 6th day. They have 5 more to go, and the health of the ocean. And we're here in the Hudson Valley. We know that the Hudson River is an estuary up to Troy, and that the indigenous people called it the river that flows both ways. And it's taken a lot of abuse over the years, but thanks to conscientious environmentalists, it's healing, and we need to keep it going in the right direction. All of the groundwater and tributaries, everything, the holistic view, the earth is an organism. And Miranda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about the Woodstock Land Conservancy?
Yeah. My name is Miranda. I have a background in art, but have found my footing here in conservation, working as the program coordinator of the Woodstock Land Conservancy. And we have a lot to say about water and protecting it in our community. So the Woodstock Land Conservancy is a land trust, which means it uses this model of a sort of public trust, or as a community purchasing lands to protect them in perpetuity. And for a good while now, since 2014, our mission statement has explicitly included the protection of water as part of those goals. And that happens in a few different ways. When we protect lands in a preserve, like Israel Whitman Sanctuary or Sloan Gorge, or any of the over 1,000 acres we steward in the Woodstock area, even just saying this soil, these trees are going to stay here and have a right to exist, protects water. Mm-hmm. We now know that the soil really acts as an important buffer. When there's heavy rainfall, soil and the plants and trees absorb that water and really protect us against severe flooding and also improve water quality. Mm-hmm. So even in that regard, preserves do an amazing job of protecting our local waters. And sequestering carbon and a bunch of other really important parts of combating climate change. Additionally, the Woodstock Land Conservancy specifically focuses on riparian pathways. We have a huge initiative to focus on the health of the Sawkill River, which flows through Woodstock. And when I talk about protecting riparian borders, a lot of that is about erosion and really protecting stream banks, planting native shrubs and trees to secure the soil on the side of stream banks so streams can pass freely, so wildlife can live in those habitats as they were intended to be. Mm-hmm. So those are different ways that just the act of preserving land does a lot to kind of improve water quality and fight climate change. We also, as an organization, participate in a lot of advocacy and town initiatives. Sort of most notably, we were community representatives that really tried to fight the use of Cooper Lake for bottling.
Right.
And we continue to advocate for healthy waterways in our community, whether it means opposing development that would be harmful to local water or collaborating with the town as necessary to offer advice about the stewardship of these waterways. My role in programs works a little differently, so I feel so lucky that I get to really think about education and the hearts and minds of our wonderful community here in Woodstock. So as part of our goal to really include water in discussions about land conservation, next year, our entire year of programming is going to be called Ecologies of Water.
Yay.
And this is the new brochure that you can find in the WLC kiosks at our preserves. But basically, we're going to do a year-long series of events around water in a bunch of different categories. So one that I'm really excited about and kind of working on now is we're going to be collaborating with all 3 of the elementary schools right here. We're going to work with Woodstock Elementary, Woodstock Day School, and Middle Way, which is close, but in Saugerties. And the kids there are going to be creating sort of youth stream assessments of their local waterways.
It's so great.
And we're going to mount an exhibition at the newly reopened Woodstock Library for Earth Day to really share these perspectives from our kids and to really, teach them early that water is a part of our environment.
It really assuages my eco-grief. I just want to interject a minute because Lori and I went to see the Hydrosphere movies last Sunday at Ian too. And there was a beautiful movie called Scent Kelp. And this young woman, she was able to assuage her eco-grief by becoming a kelp farmer, and it wasn't easy. She was so determined. And just saying also, very encouraged to hear that from Belém to Belfast, there are young people having their own little mini summits. So we were the only folks to think of mini summits. So please go ahead.
Well, so it's really important, I think, and I know the Conservancy also agrees with this, to connect with youth, to start these conversations early, but also to still find beauty in this work, which kids are so great at showing us. We're doing a book club early next year, January and February, with a book called Drinkable Rivers, which is an amazing book about a woman's journey to the Rupert River in Canada, in which when she first visits, you can actually drink from it straight from the river, like dip a cup in and then take a sip. And then when she visits just 3 years later, that water is no longer drinkable. And so this whole book is about this concept of drinkable rivers, like what if we could actually drink straight from our rivers, and also connecting with our sort of deep ancestral history as human beings, in which for so much of human life, we set up beside waterways, and in part because, it was such an important resource for us. But in the modern era, that's like almost unfathomable, right? Like you just know not to just drink from a public river. And there's a reason for that, and it's human involvement. So the book club is really going to delve into that and talk about local applications here in the Woodstock area. We're also doing another art exhibition at WHAM in the fall, this one with grown-ups, at least for now. And that's going to feature an artwork by Jennifer Zakin, who's a local artist who lives right off of the Sawkill. She's making an exhibit called Mapping the Sawkill, which is going to use weaving techniques to recreate a portion of the Sawkill, and then invite the community in to annotate that map and talk about their own experiences of the creek and erosion and meaningful moments from their life and all the parts of interacting with a water body. And that's also going to include educational workshops, and most importantly, it's going to also include riparian plantings. So a moment ago when I talked about like stream bank erosion, a lot of that comes down to planting the right stuff on the stream banks. So we're going to be doing some of that in the community.
Do you reach out at all to Ashokan Stream Management? I know they do some of that.
I think advisors would be a little too formal, but I do reach out to them a lot, and they're definitely leaders in this space. And actually, Beth Reichfeld, the former director of the Ashokan Stream Management Program, has been a particular mentor to me in this process of figuring out what's important to communicate in the community. But because of their service area, we're in a little bit of a different watershed. And so we'll be talking about that and kind of, uplifting all the different organizations in the area that protect water. But we are teaming up with Beyond Plastics, who you mentioned.
Judith Enck.
So in the fall, after the exhibition at WHAM, we'll be working with Beyond Plastics to offer some workshops on legislative action. So it's not just wonderful, cute science and ecology workshops, which I love, but also we want to talk about how to actually affect change in your community, and what it takes to do that, how to write a letter to your legislator most effectively, who to talk to, like what these systems are that actually make the decisions about our local health. So there's a lot going on next year, and you can either use the QR code on that brochure I held up, or you can always visit woodstocklandconservancy.org for a list of upcoming events or ways to get involved. But I would like to just shout out a few different ways that the community can engage with what we're doing here.
I was at your Scarecrow Festival.
Oh, fun!
That was so nice.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
It was so wonderful. The kids loved it so much, and Ravensbeard brought their owls.
The
It
little
was really delightful.
We're actually doing a workshop with Ravensbeard, talking about the habitats of owls and how those relate to waterways. And yeah, so if someone wants to join us, events are usually listed on the website, but we also have our WLC Land Stewards program, which is the way you can become a volunteer with us and actually affect change in local lands. We're having a cohort sign up on January 29th on Zoom. That's listed on our website as well. And at that Zoom session, we'll overview the program, really get into nuts and bolts, talk about signing up and what the sort of ask is. But I really try and make that program either as little or as much as anyone wants. Like, it's not like you have to put in this number of hours or, do anything specific to participate. And it ends up being just a really sweet group of people that are all thinking about the same things. And even talking about eco-grief, participating in the Land Stewards program for me is kind of my most joyous part of this work, because it's like you get to actually talk to people who are like-minded and then watch as a landscape is affected by that care and love. And
community.
Exactly. So that's a great way to get involved. And then of course, if you have the means, donating to the Woodstock Land Conservancy is always appreciated. That helps us with all of these initiatives and programs, but also actually protecting the land, and in many cases actually purchasing it so that it can be protected. So a donation is always appreciated. You can donate in any amount. The information on that is on our website. If you go to woodstocklandconservancy.org, there's a big button that says donate.
Perfect. Yeah. And can you tell us, I know you're working with Dr. Susan Marcus Painter, leading the charge against the Xena development. Can you fill us in a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I personally am not the lead on Stop Xena development. And the way I think about that is it's really a community group that we're facilitating and uplifting. I think, is it stopxenadevelopment.org?
I believe so.
Yeah, wait, you have it here.
I have it here, yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you want to get involved in that, go to the website, and there's always new information. So Stop Xena Development is the process of protecting an area that's quite close to the Sawkill, as well as the Xena Highwoods, where Israel Women's Sanctuary is.
Right.
And there's a proposed construction of a housing development there, but where we would be thinking differently about housing if it was affordable housing, say. This is, in our opinion, not that. And especially because of the exact location and its proximity to the Sawkill and the Xena Highwoods, we feel it is not in the best interest of this community to build there.
Right.
And so there's a multi-year ongoing process to propose that.
Protect those little spring ephemeral little pools that.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes.
Yeah, because Israel Women's Sanctuary, which I spend a ton of time with when I'm doing stewardship, I always say it has just the best frogs in the spring because there's so many ephemeral pools.
Right.
And I do think it's the proposed construction is so close to the Sawkill that it's very related to what we're talking about here as well. And then I'll also add, this is just sort of my observation, but I think this holds up. The Xena Highwoods they're high woods. They're right before the Catskills start sort of rising. And what is often the case where two ecosystems meet, there's a lot of biodiversity because you're kind of in the gray, the transition between two spaces.
Critical.
So the way I most quickly can say that the Xena Highwoods in this area where Xena Development is proposing the construction is it's incredibly rich as far as what we have left of wildlife and important species in this area. So I think it's really worth checking that out and getting involved if you feel the need to participate in fighting that.
Right, that's a good one too.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, thank you so much. And I know you're very knowledgeable about a lot of the things that we're going to be talking. I'm going to turn to Lori Felber, who I reached out to Lori when I wanted to form a third act group in Woodstock, and I knew she had been active in New York City with special actions there. And so can you fill us in on third act and
Sure.
give us the whole thing? Yeah.
I'm Lori. I'm a working visual artist and also a active member of Third Act. Third Act is an organization for people over 60. And why do you ask? It's because we are a seasoned generation that holds unparalleled power to enact real change. We use our life experiences, skills, and resources and unite to tackle the unfinished work of our lifetimes and ensure a safe and stable planet for generations to come. I have 3 children, and even though they're no longer little ones, I still worry about the future of this planet. And this is why I put so much work into Third Act, is for the next generation. We are comprised of working groups, which are volunteer-led and organized by either affinity or by geographic location. They're organized and act together on Third Act's major campaigns, safeguarding our climate and democracy alongside local priorities. Here in New York State, we have 2 working groups. One in New York City and the other here in upstate. But upstate means from Buffalo all the way to Poughkeepsie, so it's quite a large geographical area. We also have many affinity groups, creative, financial, legislative, educational, or faith-based. We also partner with other organizations such as Indivisible, 5051, Extinction Rebellion, Riverkeeper, Food and Water Watch, and of course Beyond Plastic. So right here in Woodstock that you and I work together on is an affinity group. And we are a creative affinity group where we use our group's many talented members to help with rallies and by bringing music, the spoken word, or other ways of the art world to our rallies and as forms of protest. And we meet every Thursday of the month. So if you reach out,
Third Thursday.
Third Thursday,
Right.
yes. When you reach out to us, I'll let you know where the location is. So.
Oh, we can say Woodstock Clubhouse.
Sure.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice because it's a private golf course, but their clubhouse is open to the public, which is nice. So that's our meeting place for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
tell us about what the solar work that
well,
you're doing.
before we do the solar,
Okay.
there's a lot of environmental concerns that have been popping up within our state this last several weeks. And we're really concerned about the reversal of frack gas and the pipeline. And maybe people have heard of the Williams NESE pipeline, which was rejected 3 times. And now Hochul has approved it. And the actual name for NESE project is the Northeast Supply Enhancement, which includes the construction, the installation, and operation of a 26-inch diameter pipeline that will travel natural gas from Pennsylvania through New Jersey, traveling underwater in the Raritan Bay and lower New York Bay to approximately 3 miles offshore of the Bronx. The overall project involves the installation of approximately 23.5 miles of pipeline. 17.4 miles of that is in New York State. It's supposed to help with existing customers in Brooklyn, Queens, bringing this liquid natural gas. But the problem about this is that most of this gas will be sent upstate to power AI and crypto business, such as the Green Ridge Bitcoin mine, which is on Seneca Lake.
Ooh, yuck.
So New Yorkers' utility dollars are funding a risky fossil-fueled billionaire casino, meaning data centers in the pipeline, more data centers will be in the pipeline to be built, And it's quite well known that data centers are known to use lots of electricity and water, thus increasing power rates for host towns and pollute the local. So beautiful Seneca Lake, what's going to happen to it? They're going to be using that water. It's horrible.
I know Earth Justice has filed some countermeasures, so that's good.
Yeah, it's very important. And Hochul has ignored the law and has approved the Williams Pipeline and the Green Ridge Plantway, and even though people have protested against it. You know, she didn't listen to anybody.
And are you going to get to the piece of the puzzle that she, her husband's
I'm not
firm?
going. Well, I'm not.
Oh, I'll go there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, her husband's firm, their client, basically Hochul's decisions are benefiting her husband's clients
Right.
who are in the pipelines and cryptocurrency. So
Yeah.
sue me. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, I just want to let people know that Hochul was considered one of the New York's international climate leaders, and that's no longer to be. She reneged on so many promises, and if we're talking about COP30,
Right.
I want to note that this was the largest historical contingency of indigenous leaders present, but they also faced the largest historical contingency of fossil fuel lobbyists ever.
1600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me know, please. It's trying to be a rigged game. We can't have it be a rigged game. We have to stand up to these fossil fuel industries.
Right.
So then you asked about solar.
Oh, yes.
So Third Act has a new campaign called Simplify Solar. This campaign is to simplify the tangle of regulation that legislates the implementation of solar energy with homes and businesses. And there are several types of solar. And I want to put out a shout out to the city of Poughkeepsie, who already has streamlined their legislation for solar power. They have done it with Solar 101 legislation.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, there's residential solar,
Mm-hmm.
which everybody can see. You see it on people's houses or small arrays in their backyard. So that's residential. But then again, sometimes that's not always great to do because there's either too much shade or you're not enough energy usage. Me, being kids are out of the house, I don't use that much energy anymore. So for me to have a rooftop solar is not worth having. But what I do instead is I subscribe to community solar, which I use Arcadia. And from there, they get my solar power from solar farms up in upstate New York, which reduces my discount of my electrical bill by 5 to 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really good thing to see. And at NYSERDA, NYSERDA, you can learn how to sign up for community solar. The last, which is getting a lot of little bubbly publicity, is balcony solar.
Yay, this is what we need.
So balcony solar is really great in urban situations, like New York City, where you need to offset the price of using electricity with air conditioning, computer work, TV, whatever. And this type of solar power was used in Germany and Australia. Basically, it needs an inverter box to change over the power for household appliance use. It reduces the cost of electricity, and what it does is it makes your appliances automatically use solar first. And so you draw less from the grid and save more. So if you want to learn more about that, you go to brightsaver.org. And again, I just want to reiterate, with any electrical systems, an electrician is required. We have to make sure that you may need transfer switches because we don't want to keep the grid from being flooded with an overusage of electrical pulses. So having an electrician to make sure your place is safe, but we need to lessen the permitting to put it in. So it doesn't mean you don't use an electrician to put in a solar power, but you have to be safe, and that's I'm underlining that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ian was able to switch over our place, and we used Infinity Solar,
There you go.
and we now generate more power than we use.
So you sell it back to the company?
Yeah.
That's
So-
great.
More, do you have more just that you
Yeah,
wanted to say?
so people who are watching this may wonder what they can do about all the things that are going on. First of all, you go to the Third Act website and join. And by joining, you'll receive the Third Act Upstate New York newsletters, and you'll learn about opportunities to learn from webinars hosted by our many experts or by Bill McKibben himself. Also, we need to make legislation simpler for solar installation. So again, go to Third Act Upstate New York to learn about the Sunny Act and how we can implement that. Call Governor Hochul's office to push that important legislation.
And you can carpool with us up to Albany to protest to the Capitol.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we also need to show the opposition to pipelines, data centers by calling out Hochul's office. And there's a bill pending, which is called Stop Climate Polluter Handouts, which the name is quite self-described, in the executive budget. So please call Hochul about that. And also there is the 100-foot rule that passed both chambers in Albany, but Hochul, the governor, has yet to sign it into the legislation. So it was a significant victory for the New Yorkers to have this, and it's what the 100-foot rule is a long-standing policy that forced ratepayers to subsidize costly gas hookups for new customers. Eliminating the rule would end a $200 million per year subsidy that has fueled fossil fuel expansion and burned New Yorkers with unnecessary infrastructure costs. So please come and protest on December 11th up at the $1 Million Staircase and put our support for that legislation. Last but not least, you can join the Woodstock Creative Group and assist with our rallies, which we do with the No Kings, the John Lewis Memorial, and what other rallies might come up. We're out there on the Village Green. Woodstock creators offer a place to find friends or like-minded people like you do with the WLC who care about our country's future and our planet's future. And I just want to mind if I close with a quotation.
Oh, are you going to read a little bit from Bill McKibben's book?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Bill McKibben's Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to quote from him, make a statement from him. I do not want to lose sight of the basic truth. We are, quite suddenly, in a world-changing moment. We have a project, one with a deadline. Indeed, we can echo JFK, who said that before the decade is out, we would land a man on the moon and return him to Earth. Before our decade is out, we must break the back of the fossil fuel system. We must land the sun on the Earth. That's Bill
Good one
McKibben.
that we love, Bill McKibben. He's an absolute hero. I wanted to talk a little bit more about climate heroes that we have in our midst. The wonderful Judith Enck. Go to beyondplastics.org. Yes. A powerful investigation into plastics' impact on human health and the environment and how we can fight back. This is a handbook for people looking to make a difference, says Bill McKibben, author of Here Comes the Sun. So the problem with plastic. The how to save ourselves and our planet before it's too late will be published by the New Press on December 2nd. Learn more and pre-order your copy. So she gets into a lot of practical things, you know. You might have to change your way of thinking a little bit and change your habits a little bit. You know, we can't be lulled by these little recycle icons that are mostly meaningless. The lion's share of plastics are not recycled. It's kind of, they call it greenwashing. It makes you feel better, but it's not doing much for the albatross who are dying with their stomachs full of plastic. So anyway, beyond plastic, did you have something you want to say?
I do, yeah, so the problem with plastic, the new book by Judith Enck, we are helping to facilitate an event on December 7th at the Queen of Rogues at 59 Tinker Street here in Woodstock. Eve Fox, who is listed as a co-author of that book, will be present. And that would be a great time to purchase the book and just hear more about why plastic is certainly affecting our water across the globe.
Oh, that's great to know you doing that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful work. So, yeah, so I want to mention, I'm going to go through a few that have a little list here with some links. Oh, I have to talk about John Bowermaster. I already mentioned the More Kelp film, but he's got oceans8films.com, and we have this little list. At the end, we'll zoom into it, so you can see all these links that we've put together. But I thought I had a link to him. I want to read you just a little bit about him because he's amazing. John Bowermaster, a writer, filmmaker, and adventurer. John is a 6-time grantee of the National Geographic Expeditions Council, one of the Society's ocean heroes. His first assignment for National Geographic magazine in 1989 was to document a dog sled expedition that crossed Antarctica for 221 days. He's the founder of Oceans8 Films and the One Ocean Media Foundation, making films about climate at home, in the Hudson Valley, and around the world. His podcast, The Green Radio Hour with John Bowermaster, has recorded over 150 episodes with environmental activists, community leaders, and friends from his vast Rolodex of travels. So definitely check him out. I wanted to see the movie that he made about Riverkeeper. Did you see it?
No.
Oh gosh, gotta see that. It was at the Woodstock Film Festival. John Bowermaster lives in Germantown, where there's actually, it's interesting, there's an ice sloop club in Germantown.
What is an ice sloop club?
An ice sloop, well, it used to be that the river froze over pretty reliably. I remember it when I was a little girl, the previous generation used to be the kids used to go out on their ice skates with a sheet and let the wind blow them, and you could ice skate on the Hudson River reliably. They had to have like a barge. The barges had to like cut the ice to get through. And in some years, when we had like the polar vortex year, the ice sloop club was able to get back out on the river. Now we've destabilized everything so much, we don't know what we're going to get. Are we going to get a polar vortex winter? Are we going to get insanely warm winter? We don't know anymore. But I want to use that as a segue to the Hudson River Sloop Clearwater. That's so inspiring. I'll tell you that when I was in high school, going to Catskill High School in the land of Rip Van Winkle, nestled by the Hudson shore, lies our little Catskill High School. Day by day we love thee more. And yeah, I actually know the song, but the sloop Clearwater came and docked in Catskill, and I was so thrilled. I went and got my guitar and I went on the sloop and I sang my songs on the sloop. And I did actually, as a teenager, wrote a letter to Pete Seeger, and he wrote back in red ink, and he signed it with a little banjo insignia. I wish I still had that letter, but the last time I saw Pete Seeger was at the Beacon Sloop Club. It was a number of years ago now, and it was in wintertime, and he had his yak tracks on, and when he hit the cement floor at the sloop club, his feet flew out from underneath him, and I went into like superheroine mode, and I dove and I caught him, and I prevented him from his head from hitting the floor.
Well done.
So I had Pete Seeger in my arms, like looking up at me, like, oh. So that was unforgettable.
That must have been one of the few times that yak tracks or spikes actually create more.
They're great on the ice.
So safe on the ice.
They're very bad on cement.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
So that's good. So if you go to the clearwater.org site, I found this kind of thrilling. there's a list of local sloop clubs. I didn't realize we had this many sloop clubs. We have the Sloop Woody Guthrie at the Beacon Sloop Club in Beacon, which is, they have great events with potlucks and sing-alongs and stuff. So the nice thing about Saving the Earth Together is that you get to have some community, caring, giving some dedication and love to, it says our mission is to protect, preserve, and celebrate the environs of the Hudson River through education, advocacy, and sailing. There's the Brooklyn Sloop Club. The Marcia Kaplan Man is the name of that. Then there's the New Jersey Friends of Clearwater. What's the name of their sloop? The Tuckerton Garvey. Well, that's pretty cool. And they're the North River Friends of Clearwater up in Albany. So, we have this beautiful river that you can go out and sail on it, and you can help clean it up. And this summer, I'm not going to miss Riverkeeper. I think it was Riverkeeper had a mermaid event. And I always wanted to be a mermaid, so I can't miss it. But I'm going to have to make my own tail because, if you buy a mermaid tail made out of polyester, it's not going to do any good. So let's see, moving on from Riverkeeper. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I thought this was nice. I was looking for mission statements, and this is, says, at Riverkeeper, we value the fundamental rights of the Hudson River, its tributaries, and all the living things that depend on them to exist and thrive in healthy, balanced ecosystems. We value clean water as essential to all living things and access to clean drinking water as a human right. We value a reduction in environmental harms, especially for disproportionately impacted communities and decimated fish and wildlife populations. We value facts, science, and community voices as the foundation of our work. We value environmental and recreational benefits for all. And we envision a future in which the Hudson River, its tributaries and watershed, and the New York City drinking watershed are restored to ecological health and balance, free-flowing, resilient, and teeming with life. They said that there used to be sturgeon in the Hudson River the size of dairy cows. When you think of what an amazing estuary that is, that the amount of life. I used to, in my 20s, I had some friends. We used to canoe from Coxsackie down to Magdalen Island in the early spring when the shad trees were in bloom, and that was at the same time that the shad are running in the Hudson River. It used to be these big fish runs.
Well, we also have is to take at the dams.
Oh, talk about that.
And you probably know more than me, but there's over 5,000 dams throughout New York State that were done in the pre-industrial era, colonial times to current times. And there's so many dams, and they need to be taken out now to up the Penobscot River in Maine. They took out the dams, and the sturgeon have come back. The alewives have come back. They just took down the Farmington River Dam, and again, the fish are back.
Mm-hmm.
So they really need to be done. The Eddiesville Dam, the dam in part of the Esopus, maybe that cannot be taken down because it's such a massive dam, but at least put in, if there isn't there already, a fish passageway.
Like fish ladders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the fish will come back.
Mm-hmm.
They come back on their own. They find out their old migratory routes.
Well, isn't that the amazing thing about nature? If you give it just even a little chance to heal, just give it a little chance.
Well, we found that out during the pandemic.
Yeah. Right.
I was living in Hoboken, and the deer were hanging out on the streets.
Wow.
They came down into Hoboken, prancing around. The raccoons, everybody had a good time while we were inside.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick summary, recapping problems facing the ocean. If you go to Woods Hole Oceanographic, Oceanographic Institution, which is whoi.edu. They talk a lot about the plastic waste, harming animals through entanglement and ingestion. And we've already mentioned beyond plastics. Okay, chemical runoff, fertilizers, pesticides, industrial waste from land-based resources carried by runoff. We've seen the maps of the dead zones in the ocean from all these bad practices, or even you can see it on people's, if somebody's fertilizing their lawn and they're just like a little uphill from a pond, you'll notice that why is there all that algae growth in the pond? Well, you have runoff from, so if people can get over their lawn obsessions, that would be really great. I like to help people naturalize their properties. That's a lot of fun, because then you get to like coexist with the wildlife, and you can create a low maintenance situation too. You know.
Can I
Yeah.
plug one of the partner groups of the Woodstock Land Conservancy is the Woodstock Pollinator Pathway, which helps to do exactly that.
Yes, we have a third actor over here who's active. Would you like to say something about the pollinator pathway?
Well, you know, what I love about the pollinator pathway is that anybody can become a climate activist. And there's so much joy in it. I mean, once you have all those native plants growing in your yard, you get all kinds of visitors. And so you have immediate verification of what you're doing, that you are helping to restore this natural habitat. So it's beautiful work because it's full of joy.
It is beautiful. I love the Catskill Native Nursery. Is a fun place to visit.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Vogwell, and she's also was active with Extinction Rebellion. You know, these are the kinds of people that we attract.
Third act.
Third act people who care.
Thanks, Sarah. I didn't know if you were open to being part of this, but I'm so glad you're here.
That's okay.
Yeah. Did I cut you off?
No, I just wanted to say one more thing that I think is just a really important concept to think about as it relates to water. Specifically is just the interconnectedness of all these things. Like you talk about how the fertilizers we put on our lawns affect the pond just downhill. And I think water really beautifully encapsulates something that is evident in all of nature and all of our ecosystems, that there's passage between different categories, that, you know, as much as we as humans like these discrete little containers where, you know, this is our land and this is, you know, something we affect in it. It's all deeply connected. And, you know, back to the idea of, you know, fish migration, that's another theme in conservation that I see a lot right now, is understanding that corridors and unfragmented sections of habitat do the most because they allow passage between points A and B, instead of just really isolating, you know, the pristine preserved area, thinking about how it all connects. And I love that water intuitively shows us that, because it just, as a material, is amorphous and absorbable and
It holds memory and information.
Well, what I did is like in the 90s, it was the greenways. So you interconnected the forest, and that was very important. That was a big environmental movement to create greenways, create bridges for the animals to cross highways so they don't get killed by
right.
And there's a whole big movement for greenways, and so the animals have a place to migrate. Now we're focusing on the next step is the water.
Right.
This is phase 2. And it's really important. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time, but it's a necessary thing. We don't need these old dams that they put up for somebody's grist mill in 1822. They can come down now.
It's great to see the fish coming back. It's so exciting. So I'm just going to run down this list. It's not that long, and there's something that needs to be added to it. Problems faced in the ocean. Oil spills and leaks, of course. Sewage. Climate change. Ocean warming. Oceans absorb a significant portion of the excess heat trapped by greenhouse gases, leading to higher temperatures that harm marine ecosystems and cause coral bleaching. Yeah, I learned they're frantically trying to save the Great Barrier Reef now, because the corals are really suffering, all this coral bleaching that's going on.
It's not just in Australia, it's off
No.
the coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some people who say we've reached the tipping point of the coral reef being bleached enough that it's one of these big moments in climate change that will create really big effects.
Yeah, so, and then maybe, I wonder if the kelp farming can help with that. I don't know, there are people who are putting a tremendous amount of energy into trying to solve these problems.
And then we have a
Yeah.
pipeline coming through.
And then other people that not so much. Okay, then we have a few more things. Melting ice caps disrupt weather patterns and contribute to coastal flooding and erosion. Unsustainable fishing methods, and bycatch, the incidental capture of non-target species. Then it starts to get so sad I can't stand it. So I'm going to say, we urge you to connect with environmental activist groups and become an active steward of our precious planet. There are so many positive actions we can take together. And before we continue, Lori had suggested a poem, and I found this amazing poem written by Amanda Gorman. It's called Ode to Our Ocean. The sea sings out to its many saviors, teenagers with fists thrust in the air and climate strikes, scientists converging around their data, a child who stoops to scoop up a piece of trash. The sea sings out for its singular objects, arching whales that wave from their waves, turtles that teeter down their shining shores, coral reefs shining brightly as cities. The sea sings out its suffering, knowing too much of waste, screeching sounds, pernicious poison, its depths bruised by atrocities in the Atlantic, misery in the Mediterranean, its tides the preservers of time past. The story of the ocean and the story of humanity are one and the same, and a great river that knows no borders and notes no lines, only ripples. We might call it the seven seas. Today we sing out your true name, the one ocean. For no matter how we try to separate your waters, you are the colossus that connects us. Water makes up 70% of Earth, 70% of the human heart, 70% of the human being, all of us bodies of water, for we too are oceans, or at least bobbing in the same boat. To stand up for our ocean is to stand up for our own ship. The sea is a restless, strong collective of many pieces. So are we. The ocean can recover, and so will we. Let us not divide the tides, but discover all they have to teach us. Green meadows of seagrass that survive pathogens. Blue-blooded marine snails that can fight off viruses. There are more lessons to learn, still more work to be done, so we lift our faces to the sun. May the seas help us see healing and hope. May we sing out the ocean's survival and revival. Being the people of this blue planet is our most profound privilege and power. For if we be the ocean's saviors, then it is surely ours. Yeah. You have some closing thoughts for us?
Sure. Just first of all, thank you for bringing us together. Thanks for, focusing us on this incredibly important critical resource to all of life.
Thank you.
If you watching or listening would like to get involved with the work of the Woodstock Land Conservancy, visit woodstocklandconservancy.org. And I hope that many of you will join us for our book club with Drinkable Rivers. This is available for purchase at the Golden Notebook locally for a 10% discount, and there's also many copies at the Woodstock Library right now. Or consider joining our WLC Land Stewards, where there is a virtual sign up on January 29th. Again, all the information for that is on our website.
Okay,
And,
wonderful.
and I would like to say, if you're interested in joining Third Act, just go online, look up thirdact.org, where you can see all the different ways you can participate, either nationally or locally. There's so many ways you can come and help out. So please do that. Don't be a stranger. Click the button and join Third Act. Thank you.
All right, excellent. And my closing statement is, thank you for watching. One ocean, one love.